Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu. So today the teaching which we are going to take, as we had discussed, would be the greater discourse of question and answers. Okay. So this is Majjhima Nikaya 43. What we had done yesterday was 44. Manjulaji Sutta. This is Mahāvedalla Sutta, the greater series of questions and answers. So the person who is asking questions is also an arahant, a very well considered practitioner, and the person answering also is an arahant. So I had, as I had mentioned previously, these questions can be asked by arahant to another arahant for the benefit of the students. Over here it has not been mentioned, but in other suttas there has been mentioned that so such and such arahant goes to such and such different arahant and asks the questions with his students. And the basis of that discussion, the students are fully awakened. So that is maybe the reason why they are, because the questions which are asked are related to a vast variety of different subjects which is there. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in Jetha's grove, Anathapindika's park. Then, when it was evening, the Venerable Mahākoṭṭhita rose from meditation, went to the Venerable Sāriputta, and exchanged greetings with him. When this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he sat down at one side and said to the Venerable Sāriputta, one who is unwise is said, friend. With reference to what is this said, one who is unwise? One does not wisely understand, friend. That is why it is said, one who is unwise. And what doesn't one wisely understand? One does not wisely understand this is suffering. One does not wisely understand this is the origin of suffering. One does not wisely understand this is the cessation of suffering. One does not wisely understand this is the way leading to the cessation of suffering. One does not wisely understand, friend. That is why it is said, one who is unwise. So we can see this, that the wisdom or wise, whenever they are using, is related to the teachings of the Buddha. So basic is the Four Noble Truths. Now Four Noble Truths also has the impermanence and the impersonality with it, and also shows the dukkha or the resistance which we have. So when we are saying there is dukkha, okay, so we are also saying that there is impermanence. Only when there is impermanence we have dukkha, okay. And also if there is dukkha, it is not a self. If there is a self, there cannot be dukkha. If there is an eternal unchanging self, then there cannot be a dukkha. So the fact that there is dukkha is said is also giving the indication of the impersonal nature of everything, and it is also giving the nature of the resistance which is having. So there is dukkha. So there is dukkha, there is a reason for the dukkha, there is a cessation of the dukkha, and there is a way leading to the cessation of the dukkha. And this also means that you are not knowing the dependent origination. Okay. So dependent origination can also be put in the Four Noble Truths, as we had seen, that we can say that there is ignorance, there is a reason for the ignorance, there is a cessation of the ignorance, and there is a way leading to the cessation of ignorance. So we can put all of the 12 steps into this four-fold understanding. So there is one sutta also, Majjhima Nikaya 9, I think so, where the Buddha goes through all of that. I think Sāriputta himself is going through all of those for all the links. So this is wherever wise or wisdom is mentioned, it is mentioned for this not understanding these aspects. Saying, good friend, the Venerable Mahākoṭṭhita delighted and rejoiced in the Venerable Sāriputta's words. When he asked him a further question. Okay, one more thing about the impermanence and dukkha. The other way the Buddha is teaching is the appearance, the disappearance, the gratification, the danger and the escape. So this is a formula the Buddha is giving. So he says that the arising or the appearance can be of anything which arises. Maybe there is a thought of maybe ice cream is there. There is a thought of ice cream which comes in the mind, or of mangoes or something like that. Okay, that a thought comes up. Now that thought is can go away also. But what happens is we indulge in that. Okay, so when we indulge in that ice cream, we have gratification. We are enjoying when the ice cream is going on. As soon as but the danger in the ice cream is that it is impermanent. So at one point of time, you are scraping the bottom of the ice cream. You are trying to get the last drop of it because that ice cream is getting over. So that is the danger, impermanence, and the escape from it is the Eightfold Path, the 6R. If we had a thought of ice cream and we had 6R it, then we would not get any kind of craving for it. So that is one other way of understanding it. One who is wise is said, friend, with reference to what is this said? One who is wise. One wisely understands, friend. That is why it is said, one who is wise. What does one wisely understand? One wisely understands this is suffering. One wisely understands this is the origin of suffering. One wisely understands this is the cessation of suffering. One wisely understands this is the way leading to the cessation of suffering. One wisely understands, friend. That is why it is said, one who is wise. So, one who understands this is considered to be wise. And when we are doing our practice, we are understanding our mind. We are understanding how the things are coming up, how we are able to let them go, how we are able to come back to our object of meditation. This is the continuous process which is happening. So this is my pace very fast? Are you able to understand my reading pace, or should I slow down? It's okay.
Slow down a little.
Huh? A little bit slow. Okay. So now this is about consciousness. Consciousness is said, friend. With reference to what is consciousness said. So now it is important. The consciousness there is a lot about consciousness. But over here, how the Buddha is explaining consciousness. It cognizes, friend. That is why consciousness is said. So it cognizes. So when we say, I recognize this cup. So we are recognizing. So cognizing is to do in the present. We cognize. So what does it cognize? It cognizes this is pleasant. It cognizes this is painful. It cognizes this is neither painful nor pleasant. It cognizes, friend. That is why consciousness is said. So consciousness function is just to know. Okay? So when there is a contact, so there is consciousness is there. So based on that contact, there is feeling. Now when the feeling is there, feeling and consciousness and perception are there. So it is just recognizing this is there, or cognizing that this is painful or pleasant or neither painful. Perception gives that information. Okay? Because perception names things. Perception names everything. So we will go further about those things. Wisdom and consciousness, friend. Are these states co-joined or disjointed? Wisdom and are they co-joined? Means they are together or they are disjointed. They are different. And is it possible to separate each of these states from the other in order to describe the difference between them? So are we able to separate them and understand wisdom differently and consciousness differently? So first question is are they together? Second is can we independently kind of examine them? Wisdom and consciousness, friend. The states are co-joined, not disjointed. So one is that it is together. Where there is wisdom, there is consciousness, which is also logical, Only when we have consciousness, we can understand wisely, So when we are in the deepest state of meditation, there is still consciousness is there. So we can understand, we can gain wisdom from that stage. That's the reason we are not going to trance, or we are not going to deep meditation where we are not able to see anything. We are staying in this state where we can still examine. Wisdom and consciousness, friend, these states are co-joined, not disjointed. And it is impossible to separate each of these states from the other in order to describe the difference between them. So we cannot even describe it differently. For what one wisely understands, that one cognizes. And what one cognizes, that one wisely understands. That's very clear. That what one cognizes, that one understands, and what is understanding is cognized. That is why these states are co-joined, not disjointed. And it is impossible to separate each of these states from the other in order to describe the difference between them. What is the difference, friend, between wisdom and consciousness? These states that are co-joined, not disjointed. The difference, friend, between wisdom and consciousness, these states that are co-joined, not disjointed, is this. Wisdom is to be developed, and consciousness is to be fully understood. So we have to develop our wisdom. Whenever we are having certain hindrances, what is our relationship with that hindrances? So they are not our enemies, they are our friends, because they reveal to us our attachments. So when we are knowing that, so we develop our understanding. And for consciousness, we fully understand. So we can only observe what is happening, and we observe how this is functioning, how the consciousness functions. And that can be done in the quiet mind or nothingness, where there is nothing, but there are certain things still happening. There are certain things still in operation. So there are certain things which are already in play when we are in the very quiet spaces of meditation also. So we are able to see something happening. So that when you are in equanimity, still there is certain things we are able to see. And that is what we are doing, is understanding what is happening. And then we develop our wisdom. Why? Constantly siksaring, constantly understanding the relationship between whatever comes to take our attention away from the present. It can be pain, it can be a thought, it can be a feeling, anything may come. So this section is about feeling. Feeling is said, friend. With reference to what is feeling said? It feels, friend. That is why feeling is said. What does it feel? It feels pleasure. It feels pain. It feels neither pain nor pleasure. It feels, friend. That is why feeling is said. So you can see that as these three things are co-joined, feeling, perception and consciousness, so they are also dealing with the same thing. After contact, what feeling happens? It feels. It feels the painful, it feels the pleasurable, it feels neither painful nor pleasurable. Consciousness cognizes these things. Okay? And perception will name it. And then there is, based on that perception, there are thoughts. There's I like it, I don't like it, and then all justification. And based on those thoughts, there are more thoughts. And then you are in that loop. That is, we went to 18, the Venerable Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 18. So you will see that these three are dealing with the same thing which is happening in the feeling. Now perception. Perception is said, friend. With reference to what is perception said? It perceives, friend. That is why perception is said. What does it perceive? It perceives blue, it perceives yellow, it perceives red, it perceives white, it perceives, friend. That is why perception is said. So the perception is naming it. So in feeling, it is also naming painful, pleasant, and neither painful nor pleasant. Okay? So certain times painful feeling can also be good feeling. Like when you are going to the gym and then there is some pain is there, you feel good about that, that okay, something is happening, good is happening, my muscles are developing or something like that. So that is called sweet pain. Huh? So, but that is perceived as good. But say you get up in the morning and your neck is paining, then you will say, oh, this is bad. It may be a slight pain, but you will be worried because what happened to the neck? Because now you did not have a neck day or something like that. But this pain you are worried about. So now that perception is there about that. Huh? So now that is perceived in a different way. So that perception is naming this. Feeling, perception and consciousness, friend. Are these states co-joined or disjointed? And is it possible to separate each of these states from the others in order to describe the difference between them? Feeling, perception and consciousness, friend. These states are co-joined, not disjointed. So they are all together. And it is impossible to separate each of these states from the other in order to describe the difference between them. So you cannot take it away, apart and examine it. For what one feels, that one perceives, and what one perceives, that one cognizes. That is why these states are co-joined, not disjointed. And it is impossible to separate each of these states from the others in order to describe the difference between them. So understand this? So feeling, perception and consciousness are always together. So when we are talking about the cessation of perception and feeling, it is assumed that consciousness is also there. We can say feeling, cessation of perception, feeling and consciousness. And that will also be the same thing because they are all together itself. So when we are describing we will be having some discussion about that also later. Knowable by mind alone. Friend, what can be known by purified mind consciousness released from the five faculties? So what is this state of where the mind is released from the five faculties? Huh? No. Arupajana, correct. So yeah, so the mind is still there. The five faculties are there, but the mind is still. So arupajana. So when you go into arupajana, what you can say? Friend, by purified mind consciousness released from the five faculties, the base of infinite space can be known thus. Space is infinite. The base of infinite consciousness can be known thus. Consciousness is infinite. And the base of nothingness can be known thus. There is nothing. So one thing is missing over here. What is missing? Neither perception nor non-perception. So neither perception or non-perception is a very fine state. That's the reason we cannot say we are perceiving. It is neither perception or non-perception. We cannot say there is no perception also. That's the reason that state has been omitted over here. But the three different arupajana has been mentioned. Friend, with what does one understand a state that can be known? So this has been discussed in our interviews also with some of them. Friend, one understands a state that can be known with the eye of wisdom. Okay? So the eye of wisdom, when we have, this is a Panya Chakku is a Pali word. Okay? Panya Chakku. Panya is wisdom. Chakku is the eye. Chakshu, we use the Sanskrit word in this thing also, in the current day. So that Panya Chakku means the mind which can deal with wisdom is watching the mind. So when you are in nothingness or quiet mind, what is happening is mind is watching mind. So there is nothing, but there is observation is there. But what is being observed? So there is no duality over here. So over here, the Sāriputta is explaining that he is rejecting duality. That if there is an observer and there is observed, then there is two things which are there. That is duality is there. So over here, when we are talking about this state, there is a state of non-duality. Because the mind which can deal with wisdom is watching what is happening. So it is said to be the eye of wisdom.
But when he is watching, that time there is no duality?
There is no duality because the mind is there and the mind is watching mind. So the faculty of the wisdom which is there is observing that okay, this is happening. That some color came, some thought came, some thing other has arisen. So when that is happening, then one can be kind of sure that okay, these things are being recorded. But who is recording it? It is the mind itself. And who is getting wisdom? The mind itself gets wisdom. And mind itself lets go of certain things. Certain habits are there, certain kind of things are there which mind understands that and thus lets go. And all the things which are happening is happening because of ignorance. Okay? So ignorance is the main thing which is there. So but if we know, then we will not do that. So as you know from the meditation, more and more you will become in line with the meditation. So that is how it will grow. Friend, what is the purpose of wisdom? The purpose of wisdom, friend, is direct knowledge. Its purpose is full understanding. Its purpose is abandon. See? So wisdom, when we are developing, what we are doing is we are having the direct knowledge. How we see from our meditation what is happening, where we are getting stuck. Hindrances, that's the reason it's important. Just going into a trance is not helpful. Having that coming up is also good. So sometimes our mind is busy, don't be afraid of that. You say there is an opportunity to learn over here. So want direct knowledge. Its purpose is full understanding, complete understanding of how this process is working. And its purpose is of abandoning. Abandoning is letting go. We are holding on to everything in our life, We hold on to our looks, we hold on to our kind of thoughts and opinions and ideas and concepts and all things we kind of take personally and we hold on to it. And we fight with others. Because there is internet, there is a lot of things which has happened, like this dress is this color or that color. So some people will say this color or that, but they are perceiving it differently. There are sounds which are there. If you hear that sound, some people will listen some word and some people will listen other word based on the eardrum or something like that, or perception. So based on each perception, people will listen to that sound differently, and then internet will kind of keep fighting. But they have to just understand that everybody has a different perception. But we take it so personally, that idea, that we are not able to abandon that concept, that we are wrong or we are right. Friend, how many conditions, this is about right view. Friend, how many conditions are there for the arising of right view? Friend, there are two conditions for the arising of right view. Right view is the start of the Eightfold Path. And I said that when there is right view, the right intention automatically arises. When there is right intention, right speech. Right speech will lead to right action, which will lead to right lifestyle, right practice, right mindfulness or observation, and right samadhi or concentration. So right view, arising of right view is very important. So there are two factors for the arising of right view. Friend, there are two conditions for the arising of right view: the voice of another and wise attention. These are the two conditions for the arising of the right view. So voice of another, whose voice is that? Whose? The Buddha's voice, correct. So the Buddha's voice is required. So what I am reading is also the Buddha's voice. What Buddha has read, I am reading. And from your end, wise attention is required. So the Buddha's voice can be there, but your attention is not there, then the teaching is not fulfilled. So there should be two things. There is one thing where the Buddha's voice is being brought to you. But then your responsibility is to give the attention. The giving of the ear also is one of the phrases which they use. So you have to pay attention. Friend, by how many factors is right view assisted? When it has deliverance of mind for its fruit, deliverance of mind for its fruit and benefit. So, what does it require? Here, friend, right view is assisted by virtue. Virtue is what? Keeping of the precepts. So, all of these things are here in this practice. Learning. What is the learning? When we are reading the suttas and we are giving you information, that learning is there. Discussion. Discussion is what? Question and answers. We talk about subjects and discuss subjects. So that is discussions. Interviews, we are there, so we are also having a discussion. So that discussion is required. Then serenity, that is samatha is required. And then insight, which is vipassana. Okay? So literally all those 5 things are available in this practice which we are doing. We are doing it with serenity. We are doing with smiling, relaxing, not with force. So that you reach that stage, okay, of understanding. So I'll read it once again. What are the, here friend, right view is assisted by virtue, learning, discussion, serenity and insight. Right view assisted by these 5 factors has deliverance of mind for its fruit, deliverance of mind for its fruit and benefit. It has deliverance by wisdom for its fruit, deliverance by wisdom for its fruit and benefit. So when we are, what are we getting delivered from? Delivered from our attachments, our aversions and our delusions. So that is the deliverance the Buddha is talking about. So we are, whatever attachments we have, we can let them go. Whatever aversions we have, we can let them go. Whatever delusions we have, we can let them go. Being. Friend, how many kinds of being are there? There are these 3 kinds of being, friend. Sense sphere being. Sense sphere being is who has senses. So we can consider us as sense sphere being. Animals are there, sense sphere beings are there. So these are sense, who has senses. Then fine material being. Fine material being still have body, but they have fine body. So when we are talking about hungry ghost or hell realms, there they have fine material body. Or we are talking about the Deva realms. Those realms are fine material body. And immaterial beings. What are immaterial beings? They have no body, but they have mind. Okay? So when you are doing meditation, not as Buddha's way, because Buddha's way, the meditation is used as a means to an end. Okay? But if you are using some other technique and going into arupa states, and you don't progress further, then you will be born in the corresponding arupa space, where you don't have body, but there is just mind is there. But that is a very pleasurable space, but it is a long time you will be there. They say that 18,000 Mahakapa is the minimum. So 18,000 Mahakapa is 18,000 big bangs time. The big bang happens, then it expands till the heat depth of the whole universe, and then there is a big crunch which happens. The big crunch happens and then it stays. So there are 4 parts. Each part is called asankhya. Asankhya means uncalculable amount of time. So one of the ways the Buddha says is it's very difficult to get a grasp of how much time it takes for one asankhya. So one asankhya is, we can say that if there is a granite, say there is say 10 kilometers wide, 10 kilometers long, 10 kilometers in height, there is a granite stone, and somebody comes up with a soft cloth, like a silk cloth or a malmal we call it, no, or here a soft cloth, and swipes it once in 100 years. Once in 100 years, 100 years, when somebody comes and swipes it. By that effort, the whole rock will be weared off. Okay? Still, the one asankhya has not started an end. So that is a big, and that 4 asankhya is 1 Mahakapa. And when you are in Arupa Jana, you can go there for 18,000 Mahakapa. Then I think there is one other second is infinite consciousness is 24,000 Mahakapa. Then it is, I think, 54,000 Mahakapa and 84,000 Mahakapa. If you are neither perception or non-perception, 84,000 Mahakapa. And the Buddha says we have all been or in all of those places. So we have all experienced that for that long amount of time. So we have been in the samsara, you can just imagine how much time we have been in this samsara going around. So that is what the three kinds of beings are there. Where sense sphere being, fine material being and immaterial being. Friend, how is renewal of being in the future generated? So how does this go forward? Friend, renewal of being in the future is generated through the delighting in this and that on the part of beings who are hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. So we delight in this and that, we want this and that, and then what happens is our mind keeps going forward, wanting this, wanting that, and always we are looking out for the tomorrow, you know. Tomorrow what we'll do, day after tomorrow what we'll do after we go back to our homes. All that mind is always going forward, and because it is going forward, it goes to the next life also, and then next life, and this is endlessly going forward.
Bhante, what you said about that arupa jhanas, that when we go into arupa jhanas by different techniques where you are not aware, then you go into these, and
Correct.
when you are with awareness in this.
Buddha says that if you are doing the meditation as per the Buddha's way, that even if you are going into any jhana state which is there, then you will go into Brahma Loka, and from there you will gain understanding and progress from there. Okay. So because our context is wisdom, our context is knowing the impermanence, our context is knowing the resistance, our context is knowing the impersonality. It is not about going into the state, mind state. It is using the mind state to gain awareness. So even Brahma Viharas, which are the Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekha, are used as a means to an end. It is not the end in itself. So it is not that we want to experience Metta for the sake of Metta or Karuna for the sake of Karuna, but we are using that to understand. That's the reason the simile of the raft the Buddha is giving. The simile of the raft the Buddha is giving, saying that it is from going from the danger to the safety. We use the as a tool. So we use the teaching as a tool from going from danger to a safe place. That's how we use the teaching. Friend, renewal of being in the future is generated through the delighting in this and that on the part of the beings who are hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving. Friend, how is renewal of being in the future not generated? Friend, with the fading away of ignorance, means having knowledge, with the arising of true knowledge, and with the cessation of craving, renewal of being in the future is not generated. So our wanting has to stop for our self to grow. First jhana. So this first jhana, and we have taken in other many places. So we are not going through the first jhana and the fourth jhana. So what are the things in the first jhana? What are not there? 5 hindrances are not there. Then thinking and examining thought, joy, happiness, and collectedness, which is there, are there. So and the factors of the first jhana. What are the factors are not there? Then fourth jhana, which is there. Okay. So this is about 5 faculties. Friend, these 5 faculties each have a separate field, a separate domain, and do not experience each other's field and domain. That is the eye faculty, the ear faculty, the nose faculty, the tongue faculty, and the body faculty. So now what that means is that with the eye you cannot hear, with the kind of the ear you cannot taste. So every faculty has its own domain. So eye is for seeing, hearing is for listening. Now for these 5 faculties, each having a separate field, a separate domain, not experiencing each other's field and domain, what is their result? What experiences their domains? What experiences their fields and domains? Friend, these 5 faculties each have a separate field, a separate domain, and do not experience each other's field and domain. That is the eye faculty, the ear faculty, the nose faculty, the tongue faculty, and the body faculty. Now, these 5 faculties, each having a separate field, a separate domain, not experiencing each other's field and domain, have mind as their resort, and mind experiences their field and domains. So, we have discussed this point previously also. So, because the mind has the feeling and the contact and feeling are happening in the mind. So, all the faculties, this happens in the mind. Mind is like the CPU which is there, where all this are experienced. Friend, as to these 5 faculties, that is the eye faculty, the ear faculty, the nose faculty, the tongue faculty, and the body faculty. What do these 5 faculties stand in dependence on? What are they supported by? See, we see that body which is there is made of elements. We discussed that it is the materiality. So the material which is there is the earth, the water, fire, air. Those are the material which is there. But what are they supported by? What are these faculties supported by? Friend, as to these 5 faculties, that is the ear faculty, the eye faculty, the ear faculty, the nose faculty, the tongue faculty, and the body faculty. These 5 faculties stand in dependence on vitality. Okay? Vitality can be said to be ayu. In Pali, the word is ayu. Ayu is used in Hindi also as age, or your age. What is age is there. Aapki ayu kya hai? Hindi we use. So that Pali word is ayu. We can say it is chi in maybe the Chinese concept of chi is there, or the Indian concept of prana. Okay, that is the vitality which is there. So that prana has your karmic energy. Okay, so whatever karmic energy, so that is the reason you will see that some people die young and some live for 120 years, even though they are smoking and kind of drinking. But they are still living for 120 years. But some people who are keeping all the kind of good habits, they become ill. So, in my experience itself, I was free with sugar and having not have good exercise habits also, and not food habits also. Good, but my friend has good habits. He will not eat outside of his home. Even if he has to be outside for 12 hours and he is hungry, but he will come back home and eat. He will not eat anything outside. I used to eat all junk food, and we used to kind of go and order also. But he got, and he used to go walking everywhere. I used to stay in 6th floor in Thane. So he used to walk the 6th floor and come to my house. So he used to kind of exercise. He used to go places with his bicycle. So he still has bicycle. He's given his son also the bicycle. He got diabetes before me. Then I got kind of worried that if he has diabetes, then I have to check my blood sugar. Then I started checking my blood sugar. But I got diabetes after 2 years. But still, I did not improve my habits. But this happened just after COVID. We were all in the same place, not going out, and food was getting delivered to the room. So that time I got disbalanced. But it is very important to know that this karmic energy which is there is supporting those things. So certain times we see different. So in one other sutta, the Buddha is talking about why some people have long life and some people have a shorter life. The Buddha says that if the person is not following the first precept, it is not to kill and harm a living being, then the next life he will have a shorter life. If he has a human life, he has a shorter life. But if somebody is following the precept of the first precept of not killing and harming living being, then he has a longer life. So that karmic energy is that which is supporting our faculties. Some can see better, hear better, taste better. So this is, everybody has a different energy which is there. About some has digestive issues, some people don't have that digestive issues. So those are the different kind of things which are there. So that is, these 5 faculties stand in dependence of vitality. Friend, what does vitality stand in dependence on? Vitality stands in dependence on heat. You know, heat is when we kind of touch ourselves, we see that we have heat. So that heat and vitality are interdependent. Okay. So this is another thing which is interdependent. One does not create the other, but they are interdependent. Friend, what does heat stand in dependence on? Heat stands in dependence on vitality. So he is clarifying this thing. Now friend, we understood the Venerable Sāriputta to have said, vitality stands in dependence on heat. And now we understand him to say heat stands in dependence on vitality. How should the meaning of this statement be regarded? So now he is saying that you have said that vitality stands on heat. Now you say heat stands on dependence on vitality. In that case, friend, I shall give you a simile. For some wise men here understand the meaning of a statement by means of a simile or an example. Just as when an oil lamp is burning, its radiance is seen in dependence on its flame, and its flame is seen in dependence on its radiance. So too, vitality stands in dependence on heat, and heat stands in dependence on vitality. So when you lamp a kind of oil lamp, you can see that the fire which is there creates the radiance, but the radiance is also dependent on the fire. Okay, so both are interdependent. So you can say that if there is no heat in that this thing, then it cannot have the radiance. And but the radiance which is there is also kind of you can see the flame because of the radiance. If there is no radiance, then you cannot see the flame also. So both are required to have that understanding of the flame. So both the things which are there, that means that the oil and this thing, the fire and the radiance are interdependent. So in the same way, heat and vitality are interdependent. We talked about that. One does not create the other, one depends on the other. So if one is not there, the other is also not there. Vital formations. So this is talking about the vital formations which are there. Friend, are vital formations things that can be felt, or are vital formations one thing and things that can be felt another, which is also chi or prana? What is the nature of this chi and prana? Can this be felt? Can you feel the chi? Can you feel the prana? That is the question. Vital formations, friends, are not things that can be felt. So you cannot feel it. If vital formations were things that can be felt, then a student who has entered upon the cessation of perception and feeling would not be seen to emerge from it. Because when he goes to cessation of perception and feeling, there is no consciousness. So if there is no consciousness and if these vital formations were things that can be seen or felt, then it cannot come back. No, that person will not be able to come back. Because vital formations are one thing and things that can be felt another, a student who has entered upon the cessation of perception and feeling can be seen to emerge from it. So the fact that somebody going for the cessation of perception and feeling can come back means that the vital formations has nothing to do with feeling. Friend, when this body is bereft of how many states, is it then discarded and forsaken, left lying senseless like a log? So when do we say this body is dead in that sense? So what are the parameters to declare somebody not alive? Friend, when this body is bereft of these three states, vitality, heat and consciousness, it is then discarded and forsaken, left lying senseless like a log. So vitality is not there, the heat is not there and consciousness is not there.
Bhante, but in a person who goes into coma does not have the consciousness but has the vitality.
Vitality is there. And the heat is also there. It does not become as cold.
But he is unconscious. That is why the consciousness is not there.
There is only one consciousness is not there. So now there is a difference between the person who is there in cessation. Cessation is also something like going into coma. because nothing is operating over there when a person is in cessation. Friend, what is the difference between one who is dead, who has completed his time, and a student who has entered upon the cessation of perception and feeling? Friend, in the case of one who is dead, who has completed his time, his bodily formations have ceased and subsided. So the body is not functioning. The verbal formations have ceased and subsided. His mental formations have ceased and subsided. So body is not working, the speech is not working, the mind is not working. His vitality is exhausted. Exhausted means it has been used up. Okay? If this vitality, you come and I finish this, then that is empty. So vitality has been exhausted. His heat has been dissipated, means there is no heat. The body becomes cold because it will give up a heat. And his faculties are fully broken. Faculties are fully broken means eye, ear, nose, tongue, feeling, all this cannot function, never function. In the case of a student who has entered upon the cessation of perception and feeling, his bodily formations have ceased and subsided. His verbal formations have ceased and subsided. His mental formations have ceased and subsided. But his vitality is not exhausted. So vitality is not finished. It is not over. It is still he has vitality. His heat has not been dissipated. So he has still heat in. And his faculty become exceptionally clear. So his one benefit is that faculties become exceptionally clear. So when he comes out of this cessation of, then he can see better. He will see colors more brighter, more greener. He can listen to sounds. Then certain times when he is walking, he will feel like he is walking through air. So normally when we walk, we don't experience the air, but he becomes more sensitive to the feeling. So that senses become more sharper and brighter. This is the difference between one who is dead and who has completed his time, and a student who has entered upon the cessation of perception and feeling. So there is a difference between somebody who is dying and going into the cessation of perception and feeling. Deliverance of mind. Friend, how many conditions are there for the attainment of the neither painful nor pleasant deliverance of mind? So neither painful nor pleasant deliverance of mind is the fourth jhana. So when you are coming into this thing, we have gone through that a couple of times, that how one thing is given up. There is no pain and pleasure, no grief and joy. All these things have given up and the mind is balanced. So I am not repeating that. Friend, how many conditions are there for the attainment of the signless deliverance of mind? Now, signless deliverance of mind is a practice which may be very advanced practice. The person may have to go into a state of extreme concentration and they see everything without any sign. So they see this thing, but they don't see it as a cup. Okay? They just see this thing as this thing which is there, which is very difficult to explain, without perception, because when we see, our mind has already named it as a cup. So if it sees a tree, they just see the kind of the shape which is there, what is there without any sign. So they are not assigning any kind of naming to that. So then they see the inherent, the shunyata, maybe you can say, of those things which is there. Okay, so that is the friend. There are these two conditions for the attainment of the signless deliverance of mind: non-attention to all signs. So they are not paying attention to any sign. Okay, attention to the signless element. The what is over here in this, which is signless, that is what they are putting. So this is a very advanced, maybe a kind of a meditation. I don't think in the current there are any schools which are teaching such a meditation, because I did a little bit of research. I could not find any school which is teaching this kind of meditation. Yes?
Bhante, is it kind of like when you say a word over and over again and then you just kind of perceive the word as
It is something like that, but you go into a space where perception, when perception is coming, you are perceiving it without any signs. So it is you need a high level of this thing, and you have to go into that state to observe and coming. So that is also one of the things which is mentioned over here. Non-attention to all signs and attention to the signless element. These are the two conditions for the attainment of the signless diligence of mind. Okay, you are not paying attention to any signs, and you are paying this attention to the signless. Friend, how many conditions are there for the persistence of the signless diligence of mind? Friend, there are these three conditions for the persistence of the signless diligence of mind. Non-attention to all signs, attention to the signless element, and the prior determination of its duration. These are the three conditions for the persistence of the signless diligence of mind. So one of those indication is that maybe you have to go into these states for a period of time by determination. You have to determine that I will be in this state of mind for say 1 hour, and you go into meditation, go into this state and look at everything without any signs. Friend, how many conditions are there for the emergence from the signless diligence of mind? Friend, there are two conditions for the emergence from the signless diligence of mind. Attention to all signs and non-attention to the signless element. Now he starts paying attention to all the signs, but the signless element he is not paying attention to. These are the two conditions for the emergence from the signless diligence of mind. Friend, the immeasurable diligence of mind, the deliverance of mind through nothingness, the deliverance of mind through voidness, and the signless deliverance of mind. Are these states different in meaning and different in name, or are they only one in meaning and different only in name? So there are different ways of reaching the understanding. Okay, different paths of reaching the understanding. Now the question is, are they all different or are they same? Friend, the immeasurable deliverance of mind. Immeasurable is the Brahma Viharas. We have discussed that there is no measure. So when we are doing the in directions also, we are not keeping distance. We are saying wherever it wants to go, it can go. So it's the mind when in the Brahma Viharas, in Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekha is considered immeasurable. The immeasurable deliverance of mind, the deliverance of mind through nothingness. So when we are going through the jhanic stages of nothingness, that is the nothingness stage. The deliverance of mind through voidness. Voidness is also one of the practice which we see, Shunyata practice, which are there in many of the Tibetan systems and Mahayana system. That is the Shunyata, voidness. And the signless deliverance of mind. This signless deliverance of mind is also which we discussed just now. There is a way in which these states are different in meaning and different in name. And there is a way in which they are one in meaning and different only in name. So one way we look at it, they are different practices. And one other way we can look at it, they are the same practice. Because their goals are the same. Okay? The result which you gain from any of this practice remains the same. But the method may, by doing these different methods, the methodology may be different. So we'll go through that. I'll read through that. There is a lot of repetition, but repetition is good because then some things are absorbed by our mind by repetition. What, friend, is the way in which these states are different in meaning and different in name? Here a student abides pervading 1 quarter with a mind imbued with loving kindness, likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the fourth, so above and below, around and everywhere, and to all as to himself. He abides pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness. So you recognize this instructions? It is going into 4 directions, up, down and everywhere. Okay? So this instructions is very clear. And then it is also including oneself, as to himself. That is the way they give to. So you are not excluded by this experience. So if there is metta, there is a metta for yourself also. If there is karuna, mudita, upekha, it's for yourself also. And then as you are experiencing, you share with others. Okay? You are not excluded from this process. So above, below, around and everywhere, and to all as to himself. So as you are sending to all, you are sending to yourself also. He abides pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. He abides pervading one quarter with a mind imbued with compassion. He abides one quarter with a mind imbued with altruistic joy. He abides pervading one quarter with a mind imbued with equanimity. So in this way, he does the whole of the Brahmaviharas. So now, when we are doing the Brahmaviharas, we are also going through the jhanic stages. Till the fourth jhana, we are staying with the metta. When we go into arupa jhana of infinite space, we go into compassion. In infinite consciousness, we are in sympathetic joy. In nothingness, we are in equanimity. So this happens automatically. We don't have to do anything, but that's the reason we have to just observe and give the conditions, and then when we give the conditions, it will automatically develop and expand. And what friend is the deliverance of mind through nothingness? Here, with the complete surmounting of the base of infinite consciousness, aware that there is nothing, a student enters upon and abides in the base of nothingness. This is called the deliverance of mind through nothingness. And what friend is the deliverance of mind through voidness? Here a student gone to a forest or to a root of a tree or to an empty hut reflects thus: this is void of a self, or what belongs to a self. This is called the deliverance of mind through voidness. So this voidness can be progressive also. Like somebody is there in the market. So they will have the sounds of the market. Okay? So then he comes to a monastery. Then there is sounds of the monastery, but it is void of the sounds of the market. So then he can say that I am in a void of the sound of the market. But there is still sounds of the monastery which is there. Then he goes to the forest. Then he says that I am void of the sounds of the monastery. But there is still sounds of the forest which is I am in. Then he goes to a hut. And he goes into a hut saying that this hut which is there is void of the sounds of the forest. But this hut is also void of a self. Then he sits and sees himself. That this is void of self. That is, the body is void of self, the feeling is void of self, the perception is void of self, the sankharas or the phenomena are void of self, the consciousness is void of self. And then whatever comes, then he will say this is void of self. This thought came. Who was the thinker of the thought? It is without a self the thought is come. So he goes into this examination of voidness in progressive cycle. So he gives up and goes into the voidness which is there. So there is a method through which this is done. So there is a different method. So now you will see that the different practices are different in that sense. The signless element, there is a different practice. The immeasurable is a different practice. The nothingness is a different practice. And the voidness is a different practice. And what friend is the signless deliverance of mind here? With a non-attention to all signs, a student enters upon and abides in the signless concentration of mind. This is called the signless deliverance of mind. This is the way in which these states are different in meaning and different in name. So there are different ways of doing the practice. And what friend is the way in which these states are one in meaning and different only in main? Lust is a maker of measurement. Hate is a maker of measurement. Delusion is a maker of measurement. So when there is lust, you can measure. When there is hate, there is a measure. There is a delusion, there is a measure which is there. In a student whose taints are destroyed. Taints are the things which are obstructing our view, or you can say they can be, one other word they are using is fetters. Fetters are like chains. So we talked about the different stages of awakening. So they are called 10 fetters or 10 stains. One is not having faith in the practice, having faith in the rites and rituals, personal view. Okay? Then there is craving is there, aversion is there. Then there is a need to become something in the human realm, need to become something in the Brahma or the Deva realm. Then there is restlessness is there. There is Ditthimana, ego view, and ignorance. They are the 10 fetters, or we can use a 10 kind of taints. So one other way is when we are having a glass, say, and there can be 10 layers of dust which is there on the glass. Because if there are 10 layers of dust, I cannot see anything. Then I can remove the dust progressively and I see more and more. So these are the taints which are there. So in a student whose taints are destroyed, these are abandoned, cut off at the root, made like a palm stump, done away with, so that they are no longer subject to future arising. So when we have given up those taints, we have given that we have given up totally. What we have given up is lust is there, hate is there, and delusion is there. Of all the kinds of immeasurable deliverance of mind, the unshakable deliverance of mind is pronounced the best. Now, that unshakable deliverance of mind is void of lust, void of hate, void of delusion. So, the one way of seeing it is you go through Brahma Viharas and end up with no lust, no hate, and no delusion. Lust is a something, hate is a something, delusion is a something. In a student whose taints are destroyed, these are abandoned, cut off at the root, made like a palm stump, done away with, so that they know they are no longer subject to future arising. Of all kinds of deliverance of mind through nothingness, the unshakable deliverance of mind is pronounced the best. Now that unshakable deliverance of mind is void of lust, void of hate, void of delusion. So you go through the nothingness, but you end up with what? Without lust, hate, and delusion. Lust is a maker of sign. Hate is a maker of signs. Delusion is a maker of signs. In a student whose taints are destroyed, these are abandoned, cut off at the root, made like a palm stump, done away with, so that they are no longer subject to future arising. Of all the kinds of signless deliverance of mind, the unshakable deliverance of mind is pronounced the best. Now that unshakable deliverance of mind is void of lust, void of hate, void of delusion. This is the way in which these states are one in meaning and different only in name. So, in all the, whatever you do, what you end up with? You end up with a mind which is void of hate, void of lust and delusion. So that is what you are giving up, giving up, giving up. So that 6R, every time you are doing 6R, you are giving up the attachment. 6R you are doing, you are giving up the attachment. So that is the way you go. That is what the Venerable Sāriputta said. The Venerable Mahākoṭṭhita was satisfied and delighted in the Venerable Sāriputta's words. So we can see that the practices may differ, but the end goal remains the same. Certain times we are too much attached to the practice, like breathing is there, oh I want to do the breathing meditation or this, but it remains the same, no? Over here the breathing was not even mentioned of the 4 practices. The breathing was not even mentioned. But in the modern era, what has happened is breathing has been more given importance, and thus everybody wants to do breathing meditation. But in the 4 main meditation methods given over here, breathing was not even mentioned. But the most important 2 are a part of our practice, which is the Brahma Viharas are there, and the jhanic system which is there. So both you are able to experience. So you are, but it does not matter, even if you are doing it with breathing, what is the end goal? The end goal is to let go of all the lust, of the hate and delusion. And that when you are letting go, that is the mind which is of no problem. They are not creating any problem for anybody. Okay? Any questions? Yes?
You mentioned that during, like if you experience a Vipassana, after you come out of Vipassana, generally your senses seem sharper. But what if your senses seem sharper even if you don't achieve Vipassana, if you still have consciousness while you're meditating?
See, consciousness or sharper awareness can be achieved through some this thing also, meditation experiences also. So that is not the goal of it. It is saying that when you are going into the cessation, that time you are understanding the impermanence of it, the impersonality of it. When you understand this impersonality, the stains which are there, the things which are binding you to the concepts, that gets broken. And then you have a new way of looking at things. That is more important than the experience. Experience can happen with one-pointed concentration also. As I told you about one of the German monk who had gone to Mahasi or something, Sayadaw Mahasi, or I think PAOK method he had gone in Burma. When he came back, he had a lot of mindfulness and awareness. And I have also had that experience with the breathing and the relaxed step. Relax in the in-breath, relax in the out-breath. So I had also that many days I could be very kind of conscious and bright. I had many experiences also, like being awake the whole night and not getting tired, because those kind of experiences also I had. So those are different, experiences are different. Our aim is on understanding as much as we can understand. Yes, you have?
Is it not like going into parallel channels of, say, perception, is it not like, if there is no volition as to when you go in or come out, is it not a dangerous practice?
Why is there danger in it?
I don't know, maybe something can happen to you, you do not know.
No, see, that is what the Buddha is saying, that this space are the safest spaces. Nothing can wrong happen. See, when your attention is on equanimity, okay, then there is a balance which is there. So what wrong can happen for a person who has a balanced mind? Only an imbalanced mind can create problems. It going into extremes. But when you are in middle, you are in balance, then there is no extreme steps you can take. So there is no harm which can be caused. And when you are advanced, then you can go in by volition also. Like we talked about the determinations. So that also we can do. You can go deeper into each of the jhanas and see. Because this is just a 10 days thing, you know. Like my teacher used to go for 3-month retreats. He did 8 3-month retreats. One retreat he did was 8 months. One retreat he did for 2 years. The retreats we are doing is in that comparison very small. In this 10 days, what we are gaining is actually some. If you go to PAOK or this Mahasi or some other techniques, the Thais and Sri Lankans are doing, they say to get into the first jhana, it takes 10 years. But you are experiencing nothingness also over here. Your experience is very clear, no? You are experiencing it. You know if you are experiencing or not experiencing. So you are clear where you are there. But they say that to gain first jhana you have to do 10 years of practice. And that for a monk, because my teacher went as a monk and I was asking around. So there is different ways of doing it. But the Buddha's technique was, if it was so kind of difficult to attain, then farmers and merchants and craftsmen could not have attained it. And there is a very solid proof that many of the lay people had attained all the 3 stages of awakening, even the anagami stage. So there is a Parinibbana Sutta. The Digha Nikaya talked about the long, there is one long sutta, Parinibbana Sutta, where he goes to different places and then people come and say, oh, so many people died in the last time you came, and from that time to this time, this is a list of say 80 people who have died, what is their destination? And Buddha says this many people have gone this and this many. So then he stopped doing that also. Then he said, I am very old now. I don't want to put effort into the kind of recalling everybody's rebirth. So then he stopped also. But they did a research on how much time gap he was coming, and how many gaps the people. So they did a whole PhD over there and they found out that there may be millions of people who may have attained awakening. Maybe one of the stages, out of the 4 stages, one stage of awakening, millions of people may have attained awakening at the time of the Buddha, which would, in terms of population, it would be a very small population compared to now, no? The Buddha's time, 2500 years ago. So it was something which every level, like princes were also, and kings were also Sotapanna. The merchants which is there, it is recorded like Anathapindika, Vaishaka, and the lay follower Vaishaka, who was an Anagami. So he was a lay follower, but he was an Anagami. So there are a lot of, so this is a confirmed thing that it is not such a difficult thing that it takes 10 years. If a farmer had to do 10 years of dedicated practice, can he give that time? He cannot, no? He has to do his farming and all these things. Yes?
Illusion and perception, are they interlinked? Because
Yes.
Sometimes you might have an illusion based off of perception.
Correct. But as you know, as you let go, then you are changing your perception also. Certain times you are perceiving something in some way, but after letting go, then you perceive it in a different way. Like seeing sugar and everything, my perception of sugar has changed. Basically, I had this continuous glucose monitor. One of our students donated this to me, and after that I perceived foods differently. I thought that roti was better than rice. But my experience, and that can be different for different, that is also a unique, whatever bacteria is there or gut biome I have based on that. But I found out that roti is very bad for me, rice is better. So different things we know. Now my perception of roti has changed. My perception of sweets have changed. Whenever I see any sweet, even in advertisement, I see the chart going like this, red, the blood sugar. Like, I don't see sweet, but I see this chart that, oh, this is a poison for me now. So that is there. So sometimes perceptions change based on based on our knowing and our interaction. This is a constant process. Even if you don't want, your perception does change. But if you want, then it will change in a wholesome direction. Because that Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekha are the wholesome states. Awareness and mindfulness is a wholesome state. So knowing will take you in the wholesome direction. So that is, it may take time, but it will be taking you into the space where it is wholesome. And it is about renunciation. Giving up of your ideas and concepts and holding to whatever things. I'll just read this. How to avoid trend and conditioning in children and ourselves. So this is also a continuous process of knowing, continuous process of knowing and letting go. So trends are something which is always there. So when there was a letter somebody had written that the governments are not working well. The municipality corruption is very much. The taxes which we give is not being used for the public works. This was a letter written by somebody in the time of Caesar, Roman times, 2500 or 2200 years back. So the perception that about those things are still there. No? So some trends which are there, we think it is local or present, but some trends may be there forever. So sometimes we think that there was one kind of a skit which was there where they were saying that, okay, now people were criticizing you for TikTok. Before that, children were criticized for YouTube. Before that, they were criticized for video games. Spending their time on video games. Before that, they were saying that, oh, you are reading too many books. They're always reading books, and then in the past something or other they were involved with. But children will be involved when they are going out and spending their time here and there. So in every time there is something which is there which occupies and happens. But there is some trends are also there. So we have to be able to recognize and let go. Because when we are dealing with something which is not under our control in that sense. See, we bring children are very difficult, there is a relationship of bringing into the world, but they also are their own entities. No, children are their own entities, we are our own entities, and this fiction with the parents is always there. With my mother also, who was very well educated and very open minded in the matters of religion also, she was very okay with us doing different things, but there is a control which is there. So that control can harm, but we have to have a balance also, that how we can support our children and how we can be of support to them. And the children also have a obligation. The Buddha says that the children also have an obligation to their parents, because to have that life, the parents are needed. So the debt to the parents are also very high. So one has to be grateful for the parents also. So there is a mutual thing which is there. That one of the things the Buddha is saying is about my children, my wealth, my spouse. But the Buddha says, you are not your own, and why are you taking ownership of others? That's also a concept of ownership, So we are taking ownership, but then we say that I don't have control on my thought, I don't control on my emotion. I can get angry, I can get sad, I can get happy without any reason. So that's a constant process of understanding. Anything else? Yes?
To understand the part you spoke about vitality cannot be felt, and you gave the example of therefore they're able to come out of states of cessation because of this. Could you elaborate on that part?
See, vitality is something which is an integral part of the life force. Just going into a cessation where consciousness is not there means that even if you are going into unconscious state, you are coming back because of certain processes, and those processes are not based on feelings.
So not based on feelings.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not controlled by automatically urges.
Correct. So if they are based on feelings, then there is no consciousness, there is no feeling.
Yes.
But there's a determination, you said.
Determination is there prior.
Prior.
So then that determination works based on something which is not based on feeling. Determination is also active and comes but that is also based on a system which is not based on the feeling.
So if they do not determine and they exceed 7 days, vitality is gone.
That is, if they determine and stay for more than 7 days, that is when vitality gets exhausted. Because the body also needs some energy to sustain.
So in that case, there is no danger of just staying. Unless the person is determined, they don't go beyond the 7.
Correct.
Because there's an inbuilt vitality which will kick back.
Correct. Without determination, you will not go. And yes.
I'm just asking, who is experiencing all this? Like, it is not supposed to personalize everything that we are going through, the different stages or anything. Or suppose we say somebody is an arahant. Who is experiencing it?
One way of saying that there are experiences, but there is no experiencer. Okay, there is observation. So there is experience. But there is no need for an experiencer to be there. Okay? Because your consciousness is there, awareness is there. So the awareness is aware of those things. And the part of the mind which deals with wisdom can look at that with the wisdom. But there is no necessity of an experiencer. But that does not mean that there is no personality. That thing is that there is not that you are, there is personality is always there. Even in arahant there can be a personality. So there are certain indications of that. One is that some of the arahants decided to stay in the forest. There was one Mahākoṭṭhita who stayed in the forest and said he used to wear rag robes. He said, why you stay? Because I want to inspire the future generation. Some used to stay in the city and they used to wear silk robes also. So there is a bent of mind which is there. Then there are certain psychic abilities which are there. Like Aniruddha developed the psychic ability to look at 10,000 world system. Because in some previous life he had seen somebody have that ability and he had determined that I will one day become, when causes and conditions are right, I will become that like that person. And he had that, because of the personality bent, he became like that. In the Sāriputta's case also, he had seen a right hand monk of a Buddha. And then he decided, I want to become like him. And Moggallana's case also. So there are stories of the arahants which are there. It is called Theragata, and Therigata is for the nuns. So the Therigata, there is a lot of stories where they recall their past life and see how their inclinations were there. Then there was one monk who would call some people in certain manner. Now they came and said that he is calling in an insulting way to those people. So Buddha said he is not doing that. He has no such wish. But because for the 500 lifetimes before, he was born as a Brahmin, so he has developed that speech. But even after he became an arahant, his speech pattern was there. So that personality is real. But the personality which is there is not permanent. Okay? One way of explaining it is, Tanisaru Bhikkhu gives this explanation. There is one book he has written, Self and Selves, something like that. Some book was there. So in that, I like that explanation about the morning. I had given this also, that in the morning before you have coffee, you are a different self, Then after you brush your teeth, you are a different self. After you have coffee and breakfast, you are a different self. When you go to office, you are a different self. When you reach office, you are a different self. When you are coming out of office, you are a different self. You are a different way of behaving and talking. I explained that before lunch, bail applications are less. After lunch, bail applications are more because they have had food. Now they are feeling good. They are giving applications based on that. So there is a different judge before lunch and after lunch. So that personality is real, but personality is not permanent. It is changing.
So just to kind of follow up on that, I was just wondering because something you mentioned in the talk yesterday is that whatever is the self has to be something that we can control. As you just explained, something like personality can very much be outside of our control. Like, for example, you mentioned people
Correct.
being angry if they're they can be a little bit more irritable. So then, in your, I guess, personal opinion, how would you describe the self?
Self is atta. Atta is like a permanent thing, which is undestructible and permanent and eternal. So the Buddha is talking about that concept of a soul, which is permanent, which is eternal, and which is bliss. So the Buddha is saying that if that is possible, then you determine. And if there is, if this concept is not matching with that concept, what is experience, then you reject that as this. So that is what he is saying, that examine against that concept of permanency.
So then is the true self only the self when you achieve Nirvana?
It is your understanding. So don't go through the understanding of the self. Go through the understanding of the present. Present, what is happening? How is your mind getting hijacked? So why that thought is hijacking your mind? And you see where did the thought come from? Then you get more understanding. But if you go through the examination of the self, you will go into a lot of theories and philosophies and concepts. That's a wrong way. So the Buddha says don't go there. That's the reason Buddha never said there is no self. He says this is not self. So examine. Huh? So body is not self, because it is very clear that we can examine that. Yes.
I think maybe I'm struggling still to understand, even though the Buddha didn't say anything about there being no self, how there can be, because when I think about thoughts, I think about like the Cartesian idea of I think therefore I am. So I think for me, I associate if there are thoughts that there must be someone who's thinking them. And maybe to take it a bit further, I struggle to see like how you can become wise if there isn't something to hold that wisdom.
The mind is there to hold the wisdom. Like in the current state, AI also they can get this thing. No, it has enough neurons. Then it can think, can speak with you. And there is one game. I don't know. I had briefed. It's very famous. You have to find the imposter in the game. So one is in that game there is one who is the computer itself. Then they have to prove that this is an imposter.
Do you mean the Turing test? Or?
Not the Turing test. Turing test is different, and that has already been achieved. Turing test has been achieved. So, but Turing test is not about consciousness. It is about how you can prove, and that also is a very that the machine is able to fully understand. It is not about machine able to fully understand. It can relate to what is there and kind of give up the output. So Turing test has already been achieved. So that has been proven without doubt that we can have that thing. But saying that you can see that it can behave as a person. AI, you can have a conversation with the AI, and I think Richard Dawkins recently, I have not gone through much, but recently Richard Dawkins kind of fell for it when he was conversing with the Claude, and he said maybe the Claude has achieved consciousness. So it may not have achieved consciousnness, but Richard Dawkins, who is a scientist and but he is also a senior citizen, he is 85, and he is in this, you know the meme, no? Meme, what is a scientific concept, but it is not a joke kind of meme. A scientific concept is that when an idea is transferred like a virus from one person to another. Like one of the examples is, say somebody who has grown up in depression will be very careful of food, because he has grown up in a time where scarcity of food he has seen. So now he has given this scarcity of food to the children. But the grandchildren which are there, they have brought up in a very rich environment. So this grandfather comes with a box of donuts. Now the donuts is a very low quality food for them. They were maybe into organic salads or something like that, grandchildren. So they took this thing and threw it in the trash. And the grandpa sees this in the trash and says, "Oh, you wanted to go and get the donuts." And I said, "I don't need that. I am a millionaire. I don't need to kind of rescue a $5 donuts." But he understood this, that the concept of donuts is my thing and I don't want to pass it down to my grandchildren. That is the meme, which is the concept which go from one generation to another like a virus. So this guy is a highly accomplished scientist, and he got fooled by or he may not have been fooled, he may have a legitimate reason to think about that. But you see that without, they are computers, but they can behave as individuals. And this has happened, I think, 1.5 years back or 2 years back, where a Google engineer, safety engineer, quit because he thought that Gemini had attained consciousness. So something like the input they got, "Don't kill me" or something like that. So he says if that is there, then it has this thing, awareness. Then there is other proofs where it says that it wants to kind of survive, so it lies certain times. So all these things. So that thing which is there, that means that there can be enough, but still the computer does not have as many neurons as a human brain. And I think that it does not have that access to something X which a human being has, which is the perception bank of perception, which may be past life, which may believe or not, but I believe it in that because there are many examples of it. Like there is a child who is born which can walk on its legs when it is 3 or 6 months. Before it starts walking on his legs, it starts walking on its hands, and when it is 1 year, it can go up the stairs on its hands. So how did that person get that this thing? There are child geniuses. They can say and kind of learn things very fast. So those kind of things which are there. Then there are examples of somebody getting hit on the head and started speaking languages they have never spoken in their life. So there can be some kind of past life kind of thing which is coming. That I think AI will never get. But still AI has got a limited amount of information, and it has reproduced it in a way where somebody can be saying that it has a personality, it has a entity. So just to think about those things, that means that when we are experiencing that, we have a lot of, in that sense, context. And thus we feel that we are solid entity. But when we see from others' eye, like being cranky sometimes very happy, sometimes sad, sometimes disappointed, then we see that, okay, there is change which is happening. And because this change is happening, the personality is real. Okay? But that does not mean there is a fixed entity which is there, which survives eternity.
I have a question on the difference between Mahayana Buddhism and the Theravada Buddhism. I noticed there are two striking differences that was mentioned. One is the concept of shunyata, emptiness, in Tibetan Buddhism, which is that all phenomena do not have inherent existence. And that implies no self. But in the Theravada Buddhism, as you mentioned earlier, Buddha did not say there's no self, but there's non-self. So that's one. And the second is in Mahayana Buddhism, to attain full Buddhahood, one who is an arahant is not considered fully enlightened, because they believe that to attain full Buddhahood, you need to develop bodhicitta, which is compassion, to leave nirvana and come back to samsara, to help all beings to be fully liberated. But in the Theravada Buddhism, an arahant is considered fully enlightened. I'm curious to know your thoughts on that.
See, I am not a scholar monk, so I will not be able to give a very qualified understanding of the Mahayana, okay, or the Tibetan. So I don't have that bent of mind also, scholarly mind of knowing in detail all the philosophies. But I can say that the teachings of the Buddha, which we are going through, are considered to be the early Buddhist teaching, or the original Buddhist teaching. The Buddha's teaching which are considered to be very on a large measure originally spoken by the Buddha. Okay, in those teachings, those concepts don't come up. Okay, the concepts of awakened being are only three, which is Pacceka Buddha, which is self-awakened but not teaching. Sammasambuddha, self-awakened but teaching. And Savaka Buddha, who learns from the Buddha and becomes awakened. The Savaka Buddha can be called arahant also. Naga, sometimes he is called, sometimes he is referred to as Brahmin, sometimes he is referred to as one without any doubts. There are many designations which are there given. But there is no mention of bodhicitta or bodhisattva also. The Buddha is referring to himself only. And only one other bodhisattva he is referring to, which is the coming Buddha, which is the Maitreya Buddha. So that is the only where he mentions bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is only referred to himself. He is not referred to any other bodhisattva. So in his teaching, whatever Jataka Kathas are there, there are many things in the suttas itself where he is giving that in that lifetime I was this and that and this happened. So there are many suttas in which they are there. Then there are Jataka Kathas which are there. But he is referring to himself only. He is not referring to anybody else. And then if somebody wants to be a Buddha, okay, he needs to have that amount of need for information or to know. Say somebody wants to learn to drive the car. Okay? Somebody wants to learn how to fix the car. Somebody wants to learn how the mechanics of that work. And somebody says, I will not see the car itself, I will generate the car from my own. The whole knowledge of the car, I will generate my own. That's a bigger thing, no? That is not there in the world. Nobody is willing to give that much amount of time. He goes to the forest and says, I will generate all the knowledge. I will generate the knowledge of the metallurgy. I will generate the knowledge of motion. I will generate the knowledge of physics, thermodynamics. Everything I will learn. That would require many lifetimes. That is what the Buddha does. That's what the Bodhisattva is doing through the whole 2000 Mahakapas or something like that. He works through all of those things and learns all the things which is to be learned. And he is not getting it ready-made knowledge. We are getting ready-made knowledge from the Buddha himself. So those are concepts which are different concepts which are there. Okay? But what we are giving is directly from the Buddha's teaching. And my teacher also was into Theravada, but he was into practices which are based on commentaries. And the based on commentaries were a lot more differing from what the Buddha's teaching is there. Just the commentaries can have a perception difference. So it can go different ways. So we say that you do your own kind of research in that sense. You see what works for you. So over this, the teaching is based on what is effective and how you can use it, how it is practical. Practicality and effectiveness is the core of my teacher's teaching. So we are using the teachings of the Buddha and giving what is there. So all those concepts which you have mentioned, those are not mentioned by the Buddha. So it's up to you what to follow, because there is a different ways. As we explained over here, these 4 paths were mentioned. But the Buddha has spoken about 40 objects of meditation. Okay? In Vishuddhimetta Magga, they say 40 objects of meditation. But I say there may be more than 40. Like I discussed, somebody was putting the kind of the hull or the plow as the object of meditation. Somebody was taking the mud as the object of meditation. But they attained some understanding based on that. So there can be different objects of meditation also. So different ways of reaching the same goal.
But Bhante, arahants must be bodhisattva also, no? Then they became arahant, no? No.
No. Bodhisattva refers to himself, the Buddha refers to himself before awakening. In the Sutta number 19 also, before I was fully awakened, a Bodhisattva. That is when he uses it. So he uses it for himself only.
Arahants are equal to both Buddhas, no?
Arahant is equal to Buddha in awakening, not knowledge or psychic abilities.
Okay.
So there can be arahants without psychic ability. There can be arahant with psychic abilities. There can be arahant with analytical knowledge. There can be arahant with different levels of understanding. So there can be Buddhas also with different levels of understanding. It is said that the Buddha, Sakyamuni Buddha, Sammasambuddha, he could see 100,000 world systems. But there are Buddhas which are born which can see 100,000. So he can see 10,000 world system, Sakyamuni Buddha. But there are other Buddhas which come with, they can see 100,000 world systems. Then there are lifespan also, different Buddha have different lifespan. There can be Buddhas which have 60,000 years lifetime, 100,000. So now Maitreya Buddha, when he will be born with 100,000 lifetime. So he will be alive for 100,000 years. Buddha was alive for 85 years. So there is a difference in Buddhas also, based on how much practice they have done, how much accumulated paramis are there. Paramis are also concept not mentioned in the suttas, but I am just mentioning that. Different ways of doing it. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So I just want to, from my end also, I just want to say about generosity and support. So we do all these practices which are doing with the support of the thing, because we don't charge anything. Whatever is there, you are paid for to Buddhapada. So we come on our own, our travel and everything. We are taking care of ourselves, and our organization is there. Our organization supports retreats which are there, and so if you want to support, because of others' generosity, I was able to come over here and travel, and from Sri Lanka I came over here and went to this Deer Park, Beer, came over here and going. So and for my medicines and my medical support also, I am taking whatever the donations are there, through that I am supported. So if you feel like it, then please be generous and support, and any way which is possible. Okay, and continue with your practice, and we will tomorrow we will go through the process of how to take the practice in your daily life. There are some suttas, so I'll read a little from different suttas to kind of give you some update, and then there are some practical things which are there. So we don't have to go through that in the interviews. In the interviews we can keep with the practice and talk about the practice. Later on in the evening we will do that, and then we can have a circle meeting also. So we can have a feedback session about what you liked, what you did not like, what improvements you want to see, and it's a way of kind of having knowing each other also. So we can introduce ourselves and do that. Tomorrow after lunch you can take your mobile if you want to, but keep them open only in the this dining area. Okay, if you want to check your flights, booking, all these things. In this hall you switch off the mobiles, and so if it's on silent, then also silent the vibration also. Sometimes there are two levels of silence, no? So vibration also, no vibrations. So I also have become a habit for me to have my mobile on silent, because when I'm in meditation also, there is something or other notification comes and minds get distracted, you know. So just don't keep vibration also, so that you can continue. So tomorrow's practice can also be very fruitful, because many people have come to me at the end of the retreat and said to me, oh, this experience I got, or this, because certain times what happens is you give up trying in the last day, You are, say, okay, let whatever is there let it happen, and then something may arise in that space. So one day also can be very fruitful. So continue your practice. This practice in the night, and don't plan anything. Everything will happen as it is happening. That flights are there, buses are running, everything is, world is functioning. And when you go back to office, everything will be as it is. So they are waiting for you with files in hand. Emails are there. I have been following up for 13 days. Where are you? So don't worry, everything will be going smoothly. Okay? So just continue the practice. In the 24 hours also, it can be a lot of practice can be done. Okay?
Tomorrow the Dhamma talk will be there at the same time. And what happens is, on the last day, you have a very bouncing energy. So I will request you all that you all talk with each other, then phone. But after 9 o'clock, as usual, or 10 o'clock, switch off the phones and go to sleep. Because then whole night you all will be talking with people here, there, and even amongst yourself. Then it becomes a headache the next day. Because next day morning we are going to have a session.
Yeah, we will have a normal session there.
But no discourse.
No, morning days no discourse.
No discourse.
We will have a sitting and
6 o'clock same?
Same. We can have a little later also, 6:30 we can come, because if it is getting late over here, then we can have a little later. Okay. So anybody is interested in giving a video testimony? So sometimes we take some video feedback on camera. Anybody interested in that? Nobody? Okay, no problem. Then we'll have a circle meeting then.
So mind well, because the whole night people keep talking, disturbing others also, those who want to sleep. So be mindful about that. Tomorrow night especially.
The booklets and everything?
I've kept near your this.
Oh, that box was that, huh? Oh, I forgot. I had to check that. I thought it was trash or something.
No. I've kept it just outside there.
Okay,
I think he brought it up.
Okay. So I was not informed, sir.
I forgot to inform you.
Okay, then we'll share the merits. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensations.